Good afternoon to you from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Jared Silverman. We thank you for joining us here on WAFB Digital. We are tracking an area of thunderstorm activity that is not only strong but severe, and we have already seen several tornado watches go out. Behind me you see the zoomed out view, and you have this sea of red. These are all the active tornado watch boxes that are going on right now. Just for the time being, we don't see any of them encircling the Baton Rouge viewing area, but again, we expect that to change. In fact, we could see that change inside of the next 45 minutes to an hour. We've already seen tornado watch boxes pop up in between Lake Charles and Lafayette, down that direction, west on I-10, and we have the lightning tracker up on this area of the satellite radar composite, just to show you that lightning, just to add another fly in the ointment, is definitely problematic. In between 71, Highway 71, 49, and I-10 going up towards Opelousas. We are tracking this thunderstorm here. It doesn't appear to be rotating at this time, so that's good news. That's why there aren't any active tornado warnings in that area. And we continue to check also with the National Weather Service, both in Lake Charles, controlling that area, and in the National Weather Service branch between New Orleans and Slidell, controlling our area. Zooming out, we'll get rid of the lightning so you could see the radar a little bit more cleanly. Anything that you see in the reds and purples are areas where they're definitely seeing at least small-sized dime to nickel-sized hail, which, by the way, is also going to be a possibility here. Our main focus, of course, is going to be whether or not there's going to be a substantial tornado threat. Zooming in out to the west, this is Lafayette right here, Arneville, going up to Ville Platte, all the way over to the west that we have Crowley, and those are the areas that continue to see a couple of heavy thunderstorms move through. Again, there are no tornado warnings there as of this time, but that could definitely change. Meantime, we've got scattered showers and thunderstorms really developing over to the west between Oakdale, Kinder, down to Lake Charles. And remember, this is the thing that you really need to keep in mind. As brisk as the activity looks over there to the west, remember, the farther west you go to places like Kinder and Lake Charles, they only have a slight risk of seeing severe weather. Now, the watch is issued. Thank you so much, Chief Meteorologist Jay Grimes. We do have the tornado watch box now. That does include our viewing area as anticipated. And by the way, when we have a tornado warning, we'll let you know about that. That's why you see the coloration here. Everything is turned and the counties have actually filled in that telltale color, that being the pink, indicating the tornado watch. Remember the difference between a watch and a warning. A watch just means that conditions are favorable in the atmosphere for the potential to create, in this case, a tornado. But a tornado warning means that there is a thunderstorm that is actually happening that is capable of producing a tornado, or that a tornado could even be imminent within the next 30 minutes. So we don't have any tornado warnings right now. We'll definitely keep a watchful eye on that. Heavy downpours, but remember, flooding is not one of the things that we're concerned about. Let's talk a little bit of timing. This is an expansive area of low pressure. We're talking about not only one or two, but we're talking about 5 to 7 different states that are going to be under tornado watches, possibly warnings, and also have a big threat from the SPC. That's the Storm Prediction Center. And meantime, here's the timing. This is going to be a real quick hitter. That's why we're not concerned about flooding. Really, it's going to be damaging winds, hail, and the possibility of tornadoes. This is at 6 p.m. We keep the clock moving, and by 9 p.m., the whole entire thing is out of here. So that's why the next few hours are going to be critical. Here is from the Storm Prediction Center. You could see that number 5, which, by the way, that is a high risk for severe thunderstorms. And I've got to tell you, this number 5, this high category right here, is very rare. In fact, I was talking to Chief Meteorologist Jay Grimes just a few minutes ago, and we think that this is the first time in upwards of a year or so that anywhere in the entire nation has had this number 5. So anytime you see this 5, not only does it mean that severe weather is possible, it means severe weather is going to be widespread. It's likely, it's a safe bet. I've even heard of people in between Jackson and Birmingham, between Alabama and Mississippi, that are actually evacuating now, getting out of there, which considering this number 5 category might not be that bad of an idea. Let's zoom in a little bit tighter to the Baton Rouge area, and we're drawing a line here on the I-10 corridor from Baton Rouge to Hammond. So we are in number 3. That's the enhanced category, which is still nothing to be taken lightly, but just off to the north of I-10, the farther north you go, as you take 55 up Hammond going up towards Macomb, the farther north you go, that's where the risk really starts to go up. The area in red, that number 4, that is a moderate risk, and we're going to break down what the differences are. The SPC risk levels, usually we're used to seeing the green or the yellow, marginal or slight, it's usually not that big of a deal. We're in the orange right now, enhanced. That means numerous severe, strong thunderstorms will be possible. A few tornadoes are possible, 1 to 2 inch diameter hail, and several reports of wind damage, which, by the way, you probably already know this, but we've had that wind advisory in effect throughout the day. We have already seen wind gusts north of 40 miles per hour, and believe you me, before all is said and done, we're going to see those wind gusts start to pipe up a little bit more. Moderate, which, by the way, that moderate area, that's where things start getting scary, and that's just off to the north of Baton Rouge in the I-10 corridor. That red area, moderate, means widespread severe thunderstorms are likely. Not only tornadoes, but strong tornadoes, destructive hail, and widespread wind damage. That's when you start seeing trees get knocked down, and when we tell you you want to be in a solid structure, not just in a mobile home like what you see here, but high. That very, very rare category of high means that widespread severe weather is expected, and there could even be a couple of long-lived tornadoes. Usually in these parts, they're very short-lived. They only last about a minute or so, and then they're gone. Tonight might be a little bit different. So from the late afternoon into the early evening hours, this is really what our concern is. We're in the enhanced category for damaging winds. That's typically winds in excess of 55 miles per hour. When they're below it, we usually don't consider them severe because of the damage that they cause. Enhanced category for the tornado threat. Large hail threat also at enhanced. And here, with the rainfall potential low, that's the one thing that's on our side. Because it's going to be such a quick-moving, quick-hitting storm, we don't have to worry about anything lingering, so flooding is not going to be an issue. Okay, know your safe space, and I'm sure a lot of you are aware of this, but we remind you where it's safe and where it's not safe inside of the house, kind of a three-dimensional view here. You really want to do this interior room. Of course, the ideal place, which is something that is not an option for many of us, would be a basement. So what we usually tell you here is to get to the lowest floor possible, the first floor typically, in the interior room right here. Now, usually a bathroom or a closet would be a good place, as long as it's small, as long as it's condensed. And the other thing that we tell you is to try to stay away from windows. So some bathrooms have windows, some don't. You want to pick the one that doesn't, obviously. So in this schematic, this interior room, it's small as well. The other thing that I've heard suggested, and some people actually find this funny, but it's very serious, the suggestion of when a tornado warning is issued, if folks have the ability to put on a helmet. Kid you not, if they have the ability to put on a helmet, that it's a smart thing to do. Remember, the #1 killer anytime that we have tornadoes or destructive straight-line winds, it's going to be debris. And when the debris flies across the room and hits you, it's kind of like an object hitting you at 100 miles per hour. It could definitely be life-threatening. That's another reason why we tell you to be in a small room. There's less real estate to work with. If and when an object does start to fly off the wall or the shelf, it doesn't really have that much to go with. We even show it here. Cover your head with a helmet, with a blanket, with pillows, because of course that's one of the areas of risk. Another way that you can prepare, and we've been showing you this for the past couple of days, make sure that you have the First Alert Weather app, and you can download that. It's totally free and easy to use. We keep it updated urgently during these situations. Walk your yard and make sure that there are no items outdoors that are not secure. So if they are loose, then you want to make sure that you either get them inside or do whatever you need to do to secure them. Identify your safe space and move vehicles undercover if you have that ability, and to keep it here at WAFB, both on air and online. Meantime, the severe weather threat, you'll notice that we have it listed here through Thursday at 7 a.m., but really the entire thing is going to wrap up very, very quickly. We expect this to be over, I would say, at or before 9 p.m. The farther east you go, it'll take a little bit longer. The farther west you go, it'll wrap up that much earlier. I know that this is busy. There's a lot to look at here, but I want you to look carefully. You see these lines right here, these lines going north and south. These hash marks that we put in here, that indicates an area where not only tornadic activity is possible, but we have it right here where an EF2 or stronger is possible. And if you're wondering what kind of winds, what kind of power could that punch, anywhere of winds in excess of 75 miles per hour or more, I'm sure the first thing that comes to your mind, we're here in Louisiana, that's at least Category 1 hurricane strength, and you would be right about that. But it's condensed, it could actually be a little bit more dangerous. Now, anything in this hash mark means that there is at least a 10% chance of a tornado touching down inside of a point of a 25-mile radius. Now, by the way, if you look very carefully, we have Baton Rouge under that hash mark. I would say if you draw a line from Lake Charles to Lafayette to New Iberia to Donaldsonville to New Orleans, from the north of that line, that's where there's going to be that 10% chance. However, as you continue to go north, farther north in the Mississippi, I'm sure there are a lot of storm chasers out there this afternoon and this evening, and they are converging on Mississippi and Alabama for good reason. When you start to go into this purple area here, not only does the chance of tornadic activity go up to 30%, in some cases it goes as high as 45%. And I've got to tell you, when you're talking about a tornado probability, that is a very high, dangerous number that we definitely pay attention to. Now, for the time being, that big risk of tornadic activity remains in Mississippi and Alabama, but we still have to remain vigilant because still this area of red, that's the moderate category, and you see it over Marksville, Clinton, back up to Macomb, and it's really not that far away from Baton Rouge. So what you got to keep in mind is the fact that these areas, these are probabilities, but remember, they could be off a little bit. They certainly can be off from 10 to 20 miles, and I would say this area of red is maybe 10 or 15 miles to the north of Baton Rouge, so it definitely bears watching. I want to jump back over to the radar, though, if we can, so we can get a broader picture. This is a very quick, very fluid situation. We weren't under a tornado watch a few minutes ago. Now that has changed. You see just this absolute onslaught of red boxes all over the area, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, up to Arkansas, and places into Tennessee as well. So 5, maybe 6 different states that are under active tornado watches or warnings. That is really an expansive area. Now we attach the lightning onto it, and we showed this a few minutes ago. There is quite a bit of lightning in these more brisk thunderstorms down Highway 71 in between 49 and I-10. But they are moving very quickly. So that's the good news here. The good news is we're not too concerned with any kind of heavy rain or flood threat because the forward speed is just that brisk. The one concern does become wind speeds, because anytime you've got a fast-moving storm cell just like this, if it starts rotating, then you're talking about a supercell. Winds can get stirred up very quickly. You could be talking about 40 to 50 mile per hour winds very easily. Back on over towards the border of Louisiana and Texas, that's where we're seeing the back edge of it, so we know that this line is moving through very quickly. Once this back line, this back edge gets through here, that's actually going to be the cold front, which is going to push through. And by the way, the cold front is going to spell some really big changes in the forecast. I'm going to show you that in just a second. Meantime, the lightning counter, I would say just in this one frame right here, this could easily be 1,000 lightning strikes just within this 30-minute loop. That's another reason why we tell you to take shelter and stay put there, because not just the winds, not just the possibility of hail and tornadoes, but the possibility of lightning as well. In between Opelousas and Baton Rouge, we're just going to see a couple of light showers in Baton Rouge within the next hour. I would say between now to about 3:30. But once we get after 4 p.m., and this is something we're really hammering home, once we get after 4 p.m., we're getting really close to this event getting going, and that's why we want people to be indoors, and that's why I'm sure you've noticed in between Lafayette, Baton Rouge, a lot of the schools have actually closed early, which, by the way, I agree with. I think that was a very smart move there. By 9 p.m., the European model, the high resolution, shows the back edge getting out of here, then the cold front, winds pick up, and then we get a real surge of cold air, which, by the way, that's part of what's at play here. Anytime you get a really big difference in temperature over a really small area, that's going to give you a big gradient. So the winds are definitely going to be stirred up whether or not you get a tornado. Now you add rotation and shear into the mix, and then it becomes a problem. As I mentioned before, this area of number 5, this is the highest category on the SPC, that's the Storm Prediction Center. That area here, you can look at these maps for years, and I would tell you that this is one of the most broad, widespread areas where you are seeing this high threat, and even the moderate threat, which is to be taken seriously, is just off, as I mentioned before, maybe about 10 miles off to the north of Baton Rouge. So here we are in that enhanced section, and again, there's a lot of words that are coming at you right here. Let's just pick off the one that we're focused on. This is for us right here, this column. That's the enhanced, where numerous severe thunderstorms are possible. It's not a guarantee. guarantee, but the probability is definitely there for a few tornadoes, the possibility of 1 to 2 inch diameter hail, and the possibility of several reports of wind damage. Now, this could be persistent and widespread. A few of them could be intense, but once you get to the moderate to high categories, that's when it's not only possible, that's when the severe weather becomes likely and widespread. Now, for the remainder of the afternoon and the evening, we'll keep it on the enhanced category. So the three main threats that we're looking at: damaging winds, tornadoes, large hail. The rainfall potential, very low. I would say about a ½ inch, and we're definitely not concerned about any kind of flooding. Once again, if you missed it before, the safest place to be within your home anytime a tornado hits, you want to be on the lowest floor possible. That'll be the first floor if you have a basement, but most of us don't, so that's not really an option. You want to be in an interior room and a small room, because remember, flying debris, the bigger the room, the more real estate it has to fly across the room. In a small room, that's less likely. So this is perfect. An interior bathroom or an interior closet, preferably one that does not have windows or doors that go outside. And again, sometimes people joke about it, but very seriously, if you have the ability to cover your head in a tornado warning with a helmet, blanket, pillow, that's a good thing to do. At this point, and I keep checking the Weather Service, we don't seem to have any tornado warnings active in the viewing area. If that changes, we'll get on air and online right away to prepare you with that. In the meantime, what you could be doing to prepare, make sure that you have the First Alert Weather app. Most of you probably do. Totally free, totally easy to use. Walk your yard, walk around the outside, the front and the back. Make sure that everything is secured. If it's not, get it inside, and if it's not inside, try to really nail it down to the ground. Identify the safe places we just did. Move your vehicles under cover in case the winds can blow out windows, and if there's hail, don't even get me started on what the damage hail could do to a car, and monitor WAFB on social media as well. This map here shows the vertical hash marks from north to south. Anything that's in this area, and that includes Baton Rouge, is an area where there's at least a 10%, maybe 15% chance of getting a tornado. You might be thinking 10% is not that big of a number, but believe you me, when you're talking about tornado probabilities, 10% is a huge number. The biggest it gets, the most concerning, is all the way up to the north in Mississippi and Alabama, where they have upwards of a 45% chance. I'm telling you, you could be doing this for years and go years without hearing about that big of a percentage. What that means is we are expecting not only the possibility of tornadoes up in Mississippi and Alabama, it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's simply at this point a matter of when. Back down here in Baton Rouge, our chances are a little bit less, so we're hoping that we can catch a break here, but we are about 10 miles to the south of that moderate category, and we could see something as big or as strong as an EF2. 75-mile-per-hour winds, yeah, that's hurricane strength. And even though we have it in effect until Thursday at 7 a.m., remember, we're going to see everything get out of here by about 9 p.m. this evening. Real quick hitter, about a 6-hour window from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m. And then here's the threat here, all the way down to the south, I would say about a 5% chance. So the name of the game, the farther south you go, the safer you're probably going to be. The farther north you go from the I-10, I-12 corridor, the much, much more dangerous, not only the risk for tornadoes, but for winds, hail, everything goes up. For Baton Rouge, for the city, check out the percentages. This is how quick this is going to happen. We're around 70 or 80% at 7 p.m., and we'll start to tailor it down. 60% at 8 p.m., by about 10, 11 p.m., 20% and 0% respectively. So there you go. By 10 p.m., whatever we have is what we have, and then it should be gone with the wind. Do we get a payoff? Yes, at least we do, which is usually the way it works with severe weather. That means the next day we'll open things up for nice, very sunny, beautiful weather, no chance for rain, and as a matter of fact, no chance for rain over the next several days. Once again, from the First Alert Weather Center here at WAFB, I'm meteorologist Jared Silverman. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up right now, but we're going to be live on, once again, WAFB at 4 p.m., 5 p.m. We've got the 6 to 7 p.m., and believe you me, if there is a tornado warning, we will not only pump it out quickly and expeditiously on our social media outlets, but we will also cut in the programming if we need to, and we will cover this storm and keep you safe for as long as need be. Take care. Jay, thank you for that.